Hello, welcome back to Lorehammer. My name is Eric.
Hey there, I'm Mark.
Thank you for joining me, Mark, today on the most auspicious of days.
What does that word mean?
I don't know. Something. Use context. Joining us today is Spenny.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you, gentlemen?
Whoo! Spicy.
Spicy.
Eric's rocking that new hairdo, and
Yeah.
I'm feeling feelings
Okay.
for the first time in years.
Before we actually get into the episode, then I will share the story of my haircut. It's a story.
The 7-year journey of Eric's.
That's right. So
hair.
it starts about 2 years ago when I stopped working. And then I just was like, fuck it, I'll grow my hair out. Because
the depression set.
Yeah, the depression pit.
Mhm.
And, you have to fill the pit. So I decided to fill it with hair growth. So I grew my hair out and it was like long, like ponytail, man bun, whatever, like below the shoulders long.
Like you turn around and then
It's
I
a
see your
woman,
face,
but instead it's a man.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm still excited.
No, of course.
But-
Yeah. And then recently, just before Christmas, I like cut it off. It was shorter, but more the length I was used to, right? And then recently, I was talking about how I was like, man, like I might just like take it all the way down, just like leave maybe half an inch of hair, and just like have a buzz cut. So today, Megan, my girlfriend, she's like, hey, did you want to do your hair? And I said, of course. Like I would love your help, Megan. In cutting my hair. So we get all together and start buzzing, and we do it till like it's like a guy number 3. Any guy knows that when you go into the barber, like you pick different, like I want to go 1, 2, 3, just different lengths, whatever.
Of course, every guy knows.
Well, if you get a haircut, Mark, have you never had a haircut?
No.
Yeah.
The wife makes me do my own hair buzz cut outside on the lawn
With garden shears. Yeah, I know, it's a mess. So anyways, we did number 3, and like there was like still a decent amount of hair. You can't see my scalp at that point, and I'm like a pretty white dude, right? So that scalp is pretty white. Anyways, it's good. I'm just cleaning up some edges or whatever, and I took the guard off the buzzer. I just took the guard off because I was cleaning up lines on like my beard and everything.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, there's a spot here that I missed. Like, I just need to like even it out. And I'm like, okay. So I give her the buzzer, and it very clearly does not have a guard because she's been staring at me as I'm sculpting like this line. So there's no guard on this thing. Mm-hmm. And she just puts it right against my scalp and just and the horror on her face as I turn to look at her, and there's just a patch in this like almost all the way down to my scalp at that point. And then I was like, well, fuck it. I guess we're doing the entire thing. So I have the shortest hair I've ever had in my life right now.
It's not bad.
No, it'll be okay. We're in quarantine. It's not like we're doing anything important. So yeah. So I told her like for sure I was going to share her failure on this.
Thousands of
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that, honestly, like when it was done, I'm like getting dressed, and she's like, "Are you sure it's okay?" I'm like, "It's fine." She's like, "I know you're gonna talk about it on the podcast." I looked at her, I was like, "You bet yourself I am." Like, of course I'm gonna do that. Anyways, that one was for you, Megan.
This attempt on my life have left me scarred and deformed.
It's like one of those YouTube videos where it's like, it's like today I was like almost murdered in my own bathroom. It's clickbait, right?
What? Okay. Whoa.
You've never seen those, Spenny, where it's like a picture of like some YouTube girl, and it's like today I was like harassed in like the grocery store, and it turns out it was just someone behind them saying like, "Oh, you dropped your wallet." They're like, "They harassed me."
Oh, okay. You must be watching a different YouTube. The bathroom homicide situation has never ended up in my related videos before. No.
I've been on some weird trails.
Okay. That's impressive.
Well, today, I guess, is a listener lore.
We got 4 stories we're going to share with you. You guys know the drill.
You know the drill.
This is the 10th time we've done it. We've had 40 people send in listener lores.
And we still have.
We still have
many more. Which is very cool.
Yeah.
We're getting through them,
Yeah. So if you want to send your listener lore to us, send it to the lorehammerpodcast@gmail.com or message us, and then I'll tell you where to send it or whatever. But
we'll make it work. Just if you want to do it, get a hold of us.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So I guess I'll dive right in. This has been sent to us by Archmagos Azreal Grimm.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so this one is very much like a not point form, but it doesn't read like a story. It reads like a chronological event timeline.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. So this is just some exposition. It's the Forge World Solvarius. Their style is unorthodox. Their colors are bone robes, plain plasteel plates, and bronze decals, or decals, however you choose to butcher that word. Products of note, teleportation and stealth technology. Ooh, and product bonus. More reliable and more widespread throughout the Legion, respectively. Okay. Their demeanor is secretive, but outwardly open and friendly to try to avoid too much suspicion. Their allies are a few other Forge Worlds, including Styges. Styges or Styges? How do you
I've
say
heard
that?
Styges.
Styges.
I've said it that way just so people get upset. It's the other one.
What is it,
It's
Spenny?
Styges.
Oh, I was going to say Styges.
You're both dumb.
That's what I...
Yeah, that's fair.
Trust me.
All right, Styges. Styges 8 being one such forge. Their enemies are orcs and Zolius's Traxrelina.
So that's a homebrew Xenos that he made up.
Oh, very cool.
This one was super long. I just took the timeline.
So we left out parts?
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so here's just some info. Solvarius is a planet mostly covered in ice and rock, having an extremely mountainous equator, with the larger of the forges having large structures jetting into the sky and connecting to an orbital dock, so space elevators. Very cool. All right, beginning. So founded time immemorial. Solvarius was founded before the Dark Age of technology, though obviously not as a Forge World, but being a home to technology and manufacturing. During the Dark Age, the Forge became isolated, causing mass starvation and a breakdown of the life-sustaining technology, keeping the planet warm and unirradiated. After these broke, the surface became a cold, irradiated wasteland and eventually caused most of the population moving into massive forges. Those who didn't either died or became radiated beyond recognition. Most of the forges being situated in the mountainous areas of the planet and connected via multiple massive underground hallways, maglev transports, and of course the orbital dock ring. Later, during the Dark Age, the planet was found by an exploratory ship of the Mechanicum and slowly became worshippers of the machine god, rebuilding the marbles of their planet, reclaiming the planet, and dedicated to the worship of the machine god. Once found nearing the end of the Great Crusade, it was placed under the full custody of the Mechanicum, where it has stayed ever since. Oh, so it had like two... it was found once by the Mechanicum, who introduced the machine god to them, and then it was brought into like the fold during the Great Crusade.
Yeah, they would have been like one of the Dark Age of technology, like original.
Yeah. Well, it was before the Dark Age that people were
yeah.
there. It was found during the Dark Age, introduced to the Holy Spirit on Messiah. Okay, interesting. All right, let's start their timeline. So this is everything in M31. 006 M31. As the boiling point of the Horus Heresy came along, large detachments of Skitarii and Magi fell to the War Master's side, causing chaos. Messiah, forgive me for that. That was a little joke the author threw in for us. These traitors became known as the Traxvarius, or Devils, in Solvarian. The traitors gathered together to avoid being divided and destroyed by the Loyalists on the planet. These heretics soon utilized the dark powers to hold their own against the Loyalist forces, releasing no end of their vile mixes of unnatural flesh and corrupt machines. These confrontations came to a standstill as the loyal forces being able to relatively contain the virus with varying levels of success, sometimes having resounding victories, suffering little, and other times losing vast areas of tunnel, maglev tracks, and orbital docks. These battles continued throughout the Horus Heresy, the conflict decreasing the production potential of Solvarius drastically, causing the still loyalist troops to become more and more hateful toward the traitors for their affront to efficiency. Eventually, a relief force of external Adeptus Mechanicus troops and Astra Militarum troops turned the tide and caused the Traxvarius forces to withdraw and flee the system into the vile depths of the immaterial plane. During this time, Archmagos Croamzer Rikina dies during the combat, and Tech Priest Prime Zalray Traxru is raised to Archmagos. M32, 310 M32. Tech Priest Aspirant Golvar Lusril was made by Archmagos Zalray Traxru and begins training once fully grown, 10 years after creation. 544 M32. During the War of the Beast, Silverius is assaulted by an Orcish Wog. The war lasts for just over 60 years and ends when a Skitarii clade under the command of Archmagos Zalray Traxu kills the war boss Evidaka within his personal battleship in orbit. This then results in the remaining orcs becoming feral and now roaming the less mountainous regions of Silverius. Hunting the orcs becomes a ritual for Skitarii microclades. This became known as the ritual of the microclades hunt. 918 M32. The Augmentati is created, allowing the biologicals of the Forge World to show their dedication and earn honor and glory, or that's how it's said to the biologicals. They are cannon fodder and the line troops for the new Skitarii macroclade formation. The Augmentati are also recruited from the feral world Azalam? Sure. Yeah. Within the same system of Silverius. The Skitarii are also reformed, utilizing increased amounts of stealth and teleportation technology. The Augmentati are an additional form of military arm for Silverius, used more as a general troop army, using a different and less skilled tactics set. M33, 310, M33. Archmagos Zalray Traxru is killed by an orc fleet while overseeing recovery of Xenos technology, unknown origin due to lack of recovered data. Tech Priest Prime Golvar Lusril rises to rank Archmagos. 780 M33. During the War of the False Primarch. Is that a real thing?
No, I've never heard of it.
I have heard of it.
Have you?
Yes.
Okay, well, Mark, pull up False Primarch while I'm reading this, please. During the War of the False Primarch, Silverian troops were requisitioned by the Greater Imperium alongside increased production. The Silverian troops suffer heavy casualties but return with 3 out of the 10 macroclades sent. The production was stretched, causing the blessings in crafting to become rushed, causing a decrease in efficiency of 1.24972%, deemed acceptable. What do you got on the War of the False Primarch?
The War of the False Primarch was a dark and bloody episode of the Imperium history, now largely lost to myth and purged from all records, that plunged the Submectum Pacificus into anarchy from M780 to 860 M33. The conflict was finally ended when the High Lords of Terra conveyed the Pentarchy of blood and raised to the 5 loyal chapters raised 5 loyal chapters to destroy the 11 others that had been declared traitorous Praetoridia. Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, I guess somebody tried to be a Primarch.
Yeah.
Didn't work out.
No, it never will.
Cool.
All right. So 921 M33. The Silvari Automata Enforcers are founded. A task force of automata under the direct control of the Archmagos to execute his will, guard his person, and perform targeted strikes against vital targets. M34. 218 M34. The 511th Explorator Fleet, which is 3 cruisers and 20 escorts, is destroyed by an unknown fleet, presumed renegade Imperial. Area around disappearance marked for deeper scans to find reason for fleet destruction. 621 M34. The Silverian Tech Knights are founded under the Arch-Tech Marine Rillius Crozel.
There's some words in this one.
Yeah, well, it's cool. He's got a bunch of his own made-up names, so. And they all seem to share like some common theme. So they're founded under Arch-Tech Marine Rillius Crozel as a training ground and reserve of Tech Marines to be sent to assist any chapter in need of such a specialized role. Due to its limited use, this chapter is only equipped with a single strike cruiser and only numbering 137 Marines as of M42. So does that
was a Space Marine chapter?
Yeah, it's a Space Marine chapter that was founded by the Forge World.
Yeah, I think there's one other example of it. I wish I remembered its name. And it's not Iron Hands. Like, they're very close, but it wasn't founded.
But it also looks like all of these are Tech Marines.
Yeah,
and
that's...
like, they lend them out.
Yeah. Yeah, so it might not even be like a full chapter. I'd be very interested to hear more about that.
Yeah.
We'll see where the story takes us.
M35. 217 M35. A minor Xenos, the Zolius Traxrelina race, is found living in simple tribes not yet considered a threat and deemed acceptable by the current Archmagos, though the race slowly evolves, eventually becoming dangerous and aggressive towards Admech presence, making simple weapons underneath the gaze of the Solvarian priesthood. Though the race is forgotten about as the second WoG hits Solarius.
That chapter is the Steel Confessors.
Oh, that's the other one that's founded
Yeah.
by the...
Yeah, by Mechanicus.
Interesting.
So it is a thing.
Yeah. 245 M35. A worker uprising in Forge Guola. Where is he getting these words from?
Imagination.
That's weird. A metal refinement and alloy smelting forge caused a large disruption of production from said forge. A detachment of the Solvari Automata Enforcers are sent via maglev transports. In this detachment was 6 Vorax battle automata and 2 Domitar battle automata. The rebellion was crushed beneath the mechanical foot and claw of the automata within 2 years. 375 M35. Major amounts of Xenos technology, presumed rat goal, found, may have been stolen from corpses by Explorer Feat GEAE-129. Technology is placed under study by Archmagos Golvar Lusril with the assistance of Tech Priest Zole Varnis and Servitor Clade. 391 M35. Tech Priest Aspirant Croale Rezal was made by Archmagos Golvar Lusril and begins training once fully grown. 10 years. Wait, hasn't that line happened?
Yeah, so the very first Archmagos did this, and then...
created Golvar Lusril,
yeah,
and now
Golvar's
he's
doing it
creating
again.
something else.
Yeah.
It comes full circle.
Like the cog.
Yes. Bow to the machine. All right. So that was in 391. So now 792 M35. The orcs on Solvarius come under a sudden and unpredicted growth in population, occurring at the same time as an orc WoG appears in the system. This outbreak causes a large-scale war, resulting in the destruction of 2 forges before the Solvarian Augmentati forces were able to reply to the orc fighters. The Skitarii mobilize under the command of Archmagos Golvar Lusril and begin picking off large threats in flash attacks and emplaced kill zones. Ooh. This war ended in 4... What?
Yeah, that they didn't quite...
Yeah, so it's saying this war ends in 459 M35, but right now we're in 792 M35.
Must just been a weird typo.
Yeah, weird. So anyways, this war ends in blank when the orc war boss Cogstompa was killed by an automata detachment. Automata or automata? Fuck, is there a right way to say that?
I think it's automata.
Is it automata? All right. I will continue saying automata with confidence then. All right, was killed by an automata detachment, causing the destruction of an entire orc base. The orcs that didn't flee became feral once again and are hunted according to the ritual of the microclades hunt. Oh, I guess that's how they would normally keep the orc population under control,
Sure.
Was that ritual that they talked about earlier. All right, I'm digging that. M36. 238 M36. During the Age of Apostasy, Solvarius remained mostly unaffected, but sent its own troops to assist Mars during the final battle, providing their own augmentati, 20 microclades, and Skitarii, 7 macroclades. 458 M36. Archmagos Golvar Lusril died due to an error in calculation of risk/reward, allowed him to be in the direct vicinity of experimentation with Xenos technology, presumed Necron, resulting in a detonation. Tech Priest Prime Croale Rezal raised to Archmagos. 839 M36. During this time, the Zolius Traxrelina became more of an annoyance to transportation around the planet, beginning to organize themselves to raid convoys and steal the technology, supplies, and etc. they were transporting. At this time, they became a secondary target during the ritual of the microclades hunt. Do we know when the first time they were found?
The Zeros Terexian?
Yeah, it was 217 M35. At that point, they were found living in simple tribes.
Yeah,
and then it says, though the race slowly evolves. But it's only been 1,000 years.
Yeah, like he had a whole big a bunch of after information.
Yeah.
That you might explain it a little more, but
I guess it's been 1,600 years, but even that seems very, very fast.
but so just for some perspective, think of our level of technology 200 years ago, 300 years ago, even 1,600 years ago.
We weren't living in tribes 300 years ago, though.
No, but okay, 1,600 years ago,
Yeah, but we're not in space threatening shipping lanes in space.
We will be in another 2 years.
But he also says slowly. They slowly evolve.
Okay.
I don't know.
Of course, this is just around the planet, though. So I mean, it could be.
I thought it was off planet, but this is on the planet.
Say around the planet there in the.
Oh, I assumed around the planet is in the space orbiting the planet.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm just wrong there, I guess. Yeah.
Oh no, I think it could be read either way. Yeah.
All right. Woo. M37. We're getting there, boys. 039 M37. The storm of the Omnisci's isolation begins, cutting Solvarius off from the wider Imperium, though production continues waiting for the storm to dissipate, building up to such a degree, extra storage containers were built to hold the numbers of weapons, ammunition, tanks, etc. ready for tithes. 239 M37. Archmagos Croale Razal develops the Croale pattern support servo skull to assist Skitarii forces in effective termination of the Zolius Trax Relina, having a very high increase of successful missions after deployment, detailed after the timeline. 747 M37. The Zolius Trax Relina performed a major attack against a storage structure, killing 2 clades of Augmentati and a large majority of a Skitarii clade. This also provides the Zolius Trax Relina a large number of weapons and ammunition for their further raids. 822 M37. Bless me. The storm of the Omnisci's isolation ends, allowing Solvarius to once again provide supplies to the wider Imperium. How long did that go on for? Jeez. Almost 800 years.
Well, I'm going to be mad at somebody.
That's the Omnisci's isolation.
Oh.
It's a long time to be alone.
Oh.
M38. 001 to 999 M38. So 1,000 years. Zolius Trax Relina declared an affront to the efficiency of Solvarius and now fell under the list of targets for the ritual of the Microclades hunt. I thought they already were.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Having multiple hunts launched from the various forges around the planet, the majority of which end with a successful hunt, though failures did occur and more frequently than was deemed acceptable by the ruling Magi Archmagos of Solvarius. Though the success rate increased as the clades became used to the Zolius Trax Relina's method of fighting. This, mixed with the abnormally long period of relative peace, caused the adepts in charge of warfare to grow slow and inefficient. M39. 001 M39. 50 Skitarii and 74 Augmentati macroclades are sent to assist in the defense of the 10th Black Crusade. Only half a Skitarii macroclade returns. 301 M39. Yet again, Solvarius sends aid to defend Cadia from the 11th Black Crusade, sending 42 clades of Skitarii, 51 macroclades of Augmentati, this time having 2 Skitarii macroclades and a third of an Augmentati macroclade return. 518 M39. Tech Priest Aspirant Azreal was made by Archmagos Croale Razal.
Nice.
And began full training once fully grown.
Let me guess. 10 years after creation.
You'd be correct. Yeah. 703 M39. Again, the orcs on planet unite under a new war boss. This battle saw the destruction of over half the Augmentati clades and a large majority of Skitarii macroclades. The battle caused the looting of 3 full forges. This battle continued until war boss Git Crusher was spotted during an assault on Archmagos Croale Razal's forge, which caused a detachment of the Solvari automata enforcers being teleported behind the enemy lines and removed them from the factor of battle. This result caused the orc attackers to be drastically less effective when compared to the organized defenders. 827 M39. Testing on Xenos technology results in a Noatic? Is it Newtic? It's like the new sphere. Oh, so Newtic, yeah, like a new sphere. Okay. Results in a Newtic corruption across 2 forges. Cybersmiths take 274 days to repair the affected new sphere. Delays cause severe inefficiency, and the priests performing the tests are found dead by the technology. Cause of death was reported as uncontrollable corruption causing vital system failure and shutdown. Augments purified and presented to new biological components. M40. 200 M40. Discovery of Xenos technologies, presumed Eldar. The technology is reported destroyed to the Inquisition. Archmagos Azreal begins study of destroyed technology with the assistance of Tech Priest Major Azreal. 274 M40. The fourth Orc Wog impacts Solvarius, and the conflict this time starts as Archmagos Azreal's forge, having the first planet fall to be an Orc cruiser landed directly next to the forge. The resulting flood of orcs wiped most of the forge out before a reactor within the forge detonated to an Orc commandos, causing a failure in the containment fields. This battle causes the death of Archmagos Azreal and the subsequent promotion given to Tech Priest Prime Azreal. Under the command of Archmagos Azreal, repeated stealth attacks are launched against the Orc attackers. Finding unexpected difficulty from the Orc commandos, these fights largely end with the Orcs winning, though the occasional blessing of the Omnissiah causing a few clades to come out on top. This fighting continued for 47 years until the Orcs seemed to lose interest in the stealthy clades of Skitarii, leaving the planet mostly destroyed, only having a few forges still operational. Repairs start instantly. It's a long war. Okay. 511 M40. Repairs of the main forges and orbital docks are mostly complete. Azreal begins to refit a long serpent-class battlecruiser named Solvarius's Blade to act as the transport for the Silvari automata enforcers. 548 M40. Azreal experiences a vision of the Inannis Cursor, a gargantuan ship that will be described later. 549 M40. The construction of the Inannis Cursor begins under the direct control of Azreal and the Council of Artisans. To fuel the holiness of the ship, Azreal delves into deep and decrepit forges, abandoned since the Horus Heresy, retrieving the weaponry he'd mount on the ship, which are 4 chronocannons and a single massive graviton weapon, which was named Noctem Aeternum. M41. 103 M41. The Solvarius's Blade battlecruiser is finished and leaves the docks carrying the Silvari automata enforcers, allowing a faster deployment with its array of teleportation technology. 139 M41. Solvarius sends 52 Skitarii macroclades and 91 Augmentati macroclades to assist in the defense of Cadia during the 12th Black Crusade. Only 1 Skitarii macroclade surviving with minor losses.
Sounds like they weren't fighting hard enough.
Only 1 Skitarii macroclade survives out of 52 and 91. Oh, that was a joke. I get it. They almost all died.
Yeah.
Well, you said they weren't. Yeah. I don't know.
They were fighting too hard, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. Didn't the Imperium win that fight? Well, I mean, according to them, they did, I guess.
But wait.
491 M41. Zolius tracks Relina grow in numbers again, though most stay hidden due to the repeated ritual of the Clades hunt. These have become more frequent to quell the numbers of orcs on the planet to reduce the risk of a wog occurring again. 686 M41. Construction of the Inannis Cursor is complete, being designed to connect with the Solvarius's Blade for longer transportation. It stays in orbit and serves as the new flagship for the Solvarian fleet. All right, so that's their entire history until now, where we are. His last thing is 001 M42. Production of weapons, ammunition, and troops has been put on strain due to increased ties and decreased materials coming into the Forge World due to the Indomitus Crusade and the appearance of the Cicatrix Maledictum. Even with the ritual of Clade's hunt, orc numbers seem to be rising, causing a large amount of worry among the priesthood, responding in an increased number of rituals, though with a slowly decreasing success rate. At the same time, the Zolius Trax Relina are growing in numbers as well, causing additional concern at possible alliances. Scout Clades dispatched and Rituals of Clades hunt continues. So that is Archmagos Azreal Grimm's Forge World Solarius. It's a lot to unpack, actually.
Yeah. Any initial thoughts? I got some, if not.
There's a couple things in here that I think are really cool and just never seem to come back.
Yeah.
If I had to say like a really good thing about this is that I like that the orcs were a constant plague. Like they never left, which is exactly what it would be like with orcs is once they're on the planet, you are constantly assaulted with orc wogs every couple hundred years. So I like that he did not abandon the orc storyline.
Sure.
That was well done, I think.
Sure. So what I really liked about it was, Spenny, you actually asked a question for AMA episode, and you're like, what's your favorite throwaway line in 40K?
Yeah.
All of this, to me, is a throwaway line, and I like it, because what I like is being able to come up with my own lore based on some throwaway line. So you can literally just go to any point, and then come up with your own crazy story for what's happening in that little time period with the information he gave. So I really like that.
Okay.
Like you said, it's a lot to unpack, and like some of it never comes back. Other times, like orcs, it does come back. But
yeah, so the orcs, the Zolius Trax Relina, like the Rakghoul doesn't come back.
No,
the chapter that they found
never
that doesn't come back.
Yeah, but like that throwaway line right there with that chapter, like that just opens up this whole world of ideas in my mind, which is what I like out of 40K is the ability to write my own story based off this cool setting.
Absolutely.
Does anything jump out at you, Spenny?
Kind of like you said, just the format of this timeline is really neat and very, at least to me, kind of reminiscent of the sections in the codices.
Yeah.
Where you have like the timeline of that faction and that army, and just like you said, everything is, it's in very brief bullet point format, but everything speaks to, wow, I wonder what happened there.
Yeah.
And, kind of building that in the background of your own mind while you're just reading this before you even get to the actual story.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I really like it, actually. Like, I don't even know if one particular thing jumps out at me. Maybe that Space Marine chapter really kind of intrigues me.
That one offers a lot of potential, I think. I think they said there's 137 Marines or whatever. It's not even like a real chapter.
I didn't realize it's that small.
Yeah, 137 Marines in this chapter, which is only comprised of tech Marines that they seem to lend out to people. I kind of like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I know that all tech Marines go to Forge Worlds to train.
Yeah.
And to like learn about the Omnissiah and like how to properly care for things. But while they are they are part of, is there like a title for their school or whatever?
No, not that I'm aware of.
So while they're a part of the machine cults, and they have like a connection to their Forge World, they are still a part of the chapter, like the Space Wolf chapter or the Imperial Fist chapter.
Yeah.
Whereas these guys, I feel like they would be so much more tied to the Forge World itself, because that's literally where their quote unquote chapter resides. No, that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that this takes a lot of things that exist in real life, in real life. Yeah. No,
like the War of the False Primarch or whatever.
Yeah, or like I think 3 different Black Crusades are mentioned in this, but not all of them, which is good.
Yeah, and he didn't go. He sent them, and they won glorious honors, and
they all died except for like 2%.
Yeah, and it was only because of them showing up that they won the day.
I'm glad that wasn't included.
Yeah, it was just once again kind of just bullet point, throwaway line.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. It's not my style of how I like consuming the flavor of an army.
Yeah.
But I know that it's much more yours. Mark,
yeah.
So it's interesting. Yeah, like there's the Rakghoul bits, like major amounts of Xenos technology found. Major amounts. Like, did they incorporate Rakghoul technology into some of their stuff? Or, right?
Sure.
Like
maybe some.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else? I'm good, I think. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I'm good too. Yeah, I just keep reading different ones. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But
Some of them are very cool, and some, when I want to know more, that's like the best thing, I guess.
exactly.
It's like a good indicator. It's like, ooh, like you've piqued my curiosity with this.
That, or a story that like has a
Yeah.
good start and a good finish, and it's wrapped up, and you're like, it's done.
Yeah, exactly.
But
A lot of difficult words in that. I'll tell you that
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, there's some funny names in there.
Yeah. So it's spelled AZR apostrophe capital AELL.
Yeah.
How on earth do you say that? Because if there's no apostrophe, it's as Azreal. But when there's an apostrophe, like, does it break up the word?
I think you're supposed to do the sound.
No, it's the.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh. I did not know that, but that's gonna make me pronounce words much.
yeah. Anytime you say the word can't or don't, you got
Yeah. Can. That's it. The words are tough, but they all like share a theme. There's a lot of Zs. There's a lot of AEs.
The whole apostrophe.
Almost every name has an apostrophe in it.
Yeah.
The Augmentati, that's kind of sad. But you know what? Whatever.
I also like to all the automaton that he uses, like
Automata.
all the battle robots and stuff. It's very cool that you keep seeing them pop up over and over.
Well, I think they said like something happened to like the flesh on the planet, right? And there was a lot of radiation. Yeah.
Oh, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
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 Thank you, Spenny, for listening. Thank you, Eric, for reading, and Mark. Well done.
I was just waiting for Spenny's thank you. That's all.
Oh, I'm flattered.
All right. The next story is from Cody. The Meg Ladroth dynasty. Cheap laugh right there. Meg Ladroth dynasty, also known as the followers of the Void Dragon, are Necron dynasties whose original identity has been lost to the ravages of time and corrupted memories. Their sole ambition is to find a way, by any means necessary, of destroying Mars and the prison that holds the Satan Meg Ladroth. 60 million years ago, as the Satan were being destroyed one by one, Meg Ladroth could see that his kin were fighting a losing battle. Instead of suffering the same fate as the other Satan, he used his godlike powers to alter the command code of an exceptionally savage and maniacal pharaoh called Megalotek. He embodied a command that would leash the overlord to his will, and his will alone. Upon entering the Great Sleep, the code was activated. Megalotek saw visions of the galaxy on fire, every world raised and rebuilt in his master's image. He saw continent-sized monuments built honoring Megladroth's divine might. He understood that the only way to accomplish this was to submit the will of his master entirely. For only the flames of the dragon could set the galaxy ablaze. Megalotek first reawoke during the formation of the Cicadix Maledictum. The torrents of energy and tearing of space stirred the corrupted pharaoh from his slumber. He awoke surrounded by molten rock and the intense flames of 1,000 dying suns. At first, he did not know if this was the source of the unyielding flames caused from a giant blazing gas giant, a series of stellar explosions, or if it came from within himself. No matter the source, his tomb world was more molten than solid. Regaining at last some form of his faculty, the torrid pharaoh raised a searing orb of energy and ignited it from within its core. The seas of swirling of lava began to rise as endless warrior bodies and crackling constructs took shape from the broiling, scalding ocean. With his army risen, Megalotek was ready to begin his mission, setting the Void Dragon free from his prison and setting the galaxy ablaze. He knew exactly where to find Megladroth, as if it was instinct. akin to the way a moth is drawn to an intense flame. The crypts of Megalodroth dynasty are charged with the task of locating sources of knowledge pertaining to Mars or Megalodroth specifically. Once a target is located, the dynasty sets forth using interdimensional corridors and teleportation. On arriving at the desired location, Megalotech and his court phase into real space. After quickly and methodically surveying the battlefield, Megalotech plants his void sight into the ground. The surface begins to glow and shift. That is when the invasion truly begins. Blasts of energy explode from his scythe, and the ground begins to crack. Molten lava erupts from once solid ground as his army is summoned. This is fucking wild. Warriors and immortals claw themselves out of the pools of molten ground and begin to take rank. Vehicles and constructs crackle and pulse with the unyielding burn of a fusion reactor. The heat projected from the intense glowing bodies of the armies ignites the flammable material surrounding the area, ignites all flammable material. Even heavily armored enemies and vehicles can melt or burst into flame by being too close to the torrent board. The path of destruction that is left by Megalodroth dynasty is anything but subtle. It creates a scorched path leading straight to Mars. Those unlucky enough to have information about the Satan's prison, or those simply just in the way, rarely survive. Even rival dynasties are scorched before them, their codes altered by the corrupting flames of the Void Dragon. Fallen enemy Necron bolster the ranks of the Megalodroth dynasty and serve their new master for eternity. That is the story of the Megalodroth dynasty. It's pretty fucking powerful. Sounds like. I like it because Necron technology is capable of the craziest feat. They literally have something where they can just blot out suns. Like, if this was any other race, like this level of technology where like they're literally like
where it's magic
cores and,
it's magic science.
Like
it very much fits to like the whole how you can't even fathom the technology capable of that the Necron are wielding, right? So
and just
that definitely fits.
Yeah, just that image of him planting his staff and then like
it's a very World of Warcraft. The Lich King like stabs his sword into the ground and like raises Sindragosa from like her rest, and that's exactly the image that like evokes in my mind when I think of this. The interesting thing that I'm not sure if Cody, because Cody wrote this, I'm not even sure if Cody knows, but the Void Dragon was known for being able to create invincible warriors capable of shooting lightning. So that was like a Catan. That was his power. And so the ability of this Pharaon to raise his warriors and almost create them from lava or from the dead bodies of the dead very much is reminiscent of something that the Void Dragon actually did, which I like. It might be an unintentional tie-in, but I liked that potential like theme that ran through. There's maybe you can I don't know. So the Void Dragon is, first of all, there are many shards of the Void Dragon out there.
I don't think is there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not whole.
Just only one active.
That's the weird thing is why is there only one active? So that's like if you don't know that there's many different pieces of the Void Dragon and you think that the only one resides on Mars, obviously they're pointed at Mars, these guys. But the chances are better though that like a different Void Dragon would do it, because it seems like the Void Dragon on Mars is pretty preoccupied.
And ultimately there is this whole thing like the Void Dragon on Mars isn't a Satan. It's not clarified. It's very
it's one of those
implied,
exactly. It's a rumor.
Yeah.
It very well could be true. It also might not be true at some point in the story. So that's like, if you're okay with that, I guess write whatever you want.
I think there's a very easy way to solve that. Like
how so?
You just got to always throw in like are rumored to have been, or it appears they're heading straight to Mars. Or like, there's keywords like that where it's not an absolute.
Sure. I think even another way you could do it is just that Necron are known for having faults in their code. You could just like, even if it turns out that it's not the Void Dragon that isn't a Catan, his dynasty is just going insane.
Sure.
Right? Like there's just like he awoke in lava. You think that wouldn't corrupt any of like your programs or like your master like how did your master program not wake you up before, right? Like your planet was consumed, right? Or how did none of the safeguards go off, right? So you could easily say that there's some level of insanity in the code of these guys. It's very evocative though in terms of like the images that you get from this. Like and the heat can ignite, even it can just burn things that get too close to it, which is very cool, and it totally makes sense. Like that's definitely something you'd probably see in Necron. They just expose all their whatever reactors that they use, because they don't use like reactors like we understand them, right? So whatever it is they're using, they're just venting it very differently than what another dynasty does. So.
I just imagine too the way these ones look. Like, so I would, if it was me doing it, I'd like spray paint them red, and then slap on like a crackle paint over top of that on the model itself to make it look like they have that molten, and then you literally paint them like
not even red. I would even go brighter than that.
Sure.
Yeah, but I get the exact same thing that you're feeling. You're literally painting them as if their bodies are
and
burning.
Like you utilize the crackle paint because that is the key.
Black crackle paint. And then you have reds and yellows and oranges underneath them.
Wow.
Yeah, very cool.
What do you think, Spenny?
I think that after hearing this story, like the first thing I want is a perspective of somebody living on one of these planets that gets stricken. Like not only is it almost like a zombie awakening type feeling, but it's a molten zombie.
Let me set the stage. So it's like beautiful sunrise, everything's good, birds chirping,
and then death,
and then molten zombie robot warriors.
And then you're dead.
Yeah, so that's nice.
Right.
No, I like it. My only thing is that is the Void Dragon an actual Catan? What's the actual relationship?
Yeah.
That's the only thing here.
Yeah. I do like too that they're servants of him. It's very old school Necron.
It is old school Necron. The slave to the star gods.
Which I've talked about doing a Necron dynasty before too, and that's very much what it'd be like an actual slave of Satan. So
it's a good one. It's such a nice way to write these robots.
Yeah,
I think it's easier to think of them as like soulless, not having any ambition. Instead, like how do you write ambition of a creature that doesn't need anything?
Yeah,
right. They're just literally every single one is a prideful beast. Is that all they are? So they can get boring, I think, that way. But this way, just you almost feel sorry for them.
Yeah,
in some aspect. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, Cody. All right. Who's next?
Yeah, so he does say that even Rival Dynasty is scorched before them. Their code altered by the corrupting flames. So like
that's the first time he mentions corruption in it. So it makes me wonder, like, was he just looking for another word, or does he truly mean corrupting?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he does also talk. Yeah.
Yeah, because like command codes and everything, that's normal standard Necron stuff. In terms of like the Void Dragon altered the command code of the Pharaon. That's not a corruption. It's just an alteration.
Yeah.
Whereas a corruption is like an unknown entity or code that is changing itself or whatever. So even that, I don't know.
Okay. So, no, I liked it. It was cool.
Yeah.
I got nothing else to say about it. I enjoyed that one, actually. Both of these
I
like actually enjoyed.
I like that.
They provided two very different things for me so far. Oh, you want to know more?
I don't want to know what those things are that they're providing you.
Okay,
well, fine. Next story.
Next story. Okay, it's Bryce or Bryce,
known colloquially by his friends.
Right. By his friends here. Bryce, it is a story which guess we're just going to jump right into it.
Mhm.
A few systems away from the Mechanicus forge world of Styges, or did we determine that it was...
We stuck with Styges.
Styges?
Yeah.
Styges 8. Okay, Styges 8, located in the Segmentum Pacificus, lies the night agri world of Varus 3. The world was discovered by vessels from Styges 8 during M35, as it was previously obscured by warp storms despite its proximity to the Forge world. The planet is tidally locked with its relatively small star, which causes an interesting phenomena on the planet's surface. Directly facing the star is the larger content of Sorestia, which is covered in grasslands, forests in the northwest, and a mountainous central region. To the southwest of the continent lies an archipelagic...
There's no underlined word there, so it is right.
Just geography here. Chain of volcanic islands, which are inhabited by teeming numbers of feral orcs who often gather into large war bands and attempt to raid the coastlines and small villages of the continent. Surrounding these landmasses is a vast, unknowingly deep ocean covering the rest of the planet. The waters around the continent and islands are relatively tame, but if one ventures further than a few hundred miles, the lack of light and gravitational pull towards the star cause massive crashing waves hundreds of feet high and frigid waters filled with monsters of unknown size and numbers. As soon as the planet was discovered, the Mechanicus realized it was a poor choice for a minor forge world. However, the fertile plains of Sorestia made farming an easy adaptation. Colonists were shipped in, and a space station, Theta Psi 7, was built to accommodate the ships, as well as a space elevator constructed to increase the materials brought to the surface. Soon after the first waves of settlers arrived and the basic structures were finished, the Age of Apostasy began, and Styges 8 had to focus on the civil war raging across the Imperium. Varus 3 was left on its own. Theta Psi 7 left quiet, the elevator empty. The last shipment to arrive with the colonists contained a small group of Imperial knights, mighty battlesuits to protect the farmers. Several generations passed as the rift in the Imperium was kept open by Goj Van Dyer. A large capital city was built, nestled in the mountains, christened as Gravenberg. Sprouting up around the base of the elevator, a sizable town named Azura was also created. As time went on, more villages sprouted up in the countryside, as the soft rolling hills yielded more and more rows of crops. However, as the generations passed, less and less of the wondrous technology the Mechanicus had provided continued to function. The repairs impossible for the simple colonists. Amongst the population, though, the echoes of times past held firm. A handful of tech priests were left behind, too unimportant to be transported off-world. Each of these tech priests, 7 in total, formed a ruling council over the settlers. They would each specialize in some kind of work befitting the people, whether it be maintenance to their basic machines, or leading them to war, or arming them with rudimentary firearms forged from the basic metals in the mountains surrounding Gravenberg. As the decades went by, all of the tech priests died to the forces of the planet. One fell to a massive orc raiding party, another crushed by a rogue machine spirit controlling a tractor, another lost to the oceans as he attempted to venture into the deeps. As they perished, the acolytes they trained under them took their place, and the knowledge and power remained in the council. Though the machines failed, the maintenance proving too much for the later generations of the council, they preached of the Omnissiah and of the endless legions of metallic warriors he commanded. Though the people never fully understood, they believed firmly in the Omnissiah, the machine god, and the motive force. Despite the best efforts of the council, too much time passed to save every machine left behind, and the low-tech mines in the mountains only allowed for basic metallurgy and stamping, resulting in the population being stuck in the Steel Age, with basic farming tools, sprawling medieval-like villages, and local militias armed with swords, spears, shields, and bows. These militias were practically standing armies, constantly fighting skirmish after skirmish against the feral orc invaders, on occasion being rallied together by the council to form one large army in order to repel an invading warband too large for the villages alone to handle. The best of these warriors, one from each village, was allowed to participate in a special tournament held in the Eternus Watch, a massive stone fortress first built to overwatch the seas on the southern coast and prevent any large incursions, and housing half of the Ravenburg town guard on rotation. The tournament was only held when a thrown mechanicum in one of the handful of knights left by the Mechanicus was left open, its pilot dead. One of the members of the council, known as the Master of the War Machines, had been tasked with the dutiful maintenance of the knights. Out of all the council members, this one person must memorize the knowledge of his predecessor to every minute detail. If they failed to repair and maintain these machines, the entire continent would fall to the orcs. At the conclusion of the tournament, the battle-hardened winner is immediately inducted into the Knight's House, which keeps its machines in the Watch Fortress. The small but mighty House Vindicta takes only those who have proven themselves, therefore it is considered the highest honor in the entirety of Sorestia to pilot one of the Omnissiah's holy war machines. In battle, due to the scarcity of the machines, typically only one knight is deployed, flanked by two Armiger? I've always wondered.
I say Armiger.
Armiger? Okay. Armiger warglaves. To match the ferocity of the orcs, all of the knights within House Vindicta are the errant pattern, and all Armigers are as warglaves. Agile beyond what should be capable, they lead the militias in the larger battles, dancing among the feral beasts, ripping them to shreds with their Reaper chainsword, melting down even the largest of their kind with the thermal cannon, and tearing through masses with the heavy stubber. The warglaves serve as a screen, mirroring the knight's close combat prowess and keeping the larger, less mobile machine from being overwhelmed, as well as protecting the weaker troops on the ground. After being selected as the winner of the tournament, a warrior is inducted into one of the machines after vowing to defend Sorestia, honor the council, and destroy the holy Omnissiah's enemies with fervor and fire. Unlike other houses in the Imperium, House Vindicta does not have many ceremonies beyond praying to the machine god before battle. Outside of combat, the Reaper chainswords are put to work felling trees. The thermal lances of the warglaves assist in deepening mines, and the largest field's plows are pulled by teams of armigers to quicken the pace. The house knows its ties to the populace and serve it with honor, although the pilots are forbidden from having families to prevent favoring one village's safety over another. This notion of absolute service to the people of Sorestia is also their most common demise. All too often, the knights will refuse to leave a village unprotected, even if the tactical situation demands their retreat. These stands will save innocent lives, but leave the machines badly damaged, sometimes the pilots dead, and sometimes years being dedicated to repairing them. The house is led by whomever is the most experienced, battle-seasoned pilot, and is advised and aided by the council member charged with their maintenance. The knights are too few to afford any other official leadership position, although warriors who show their worth as leaders will often be followed into battle by others. Out of the entire continent, these warriors are also frequently the most pious members of the machine cult, likely due to their contact with the last piece of Mechanicus technology left behind. Finally, in the latter half of M37, the great Adeptus Mechanicus returned to Varus III. To the Mechanicus, it felt like they had never left, but to the people of Varus III, the almost 2 millennia made it feel as though this return was the Omnissiah answering their prayers. As time passed, the people knew of the space elevator, but never quite understood it. However, when the first ship docked, the council ordered a full reception. At the massive gates in the center of Azura, every knight left in House Vindicta stood as watchful giants, a line of metal and fury, nearly gods to the common folk. Before them stood the council, knowing key information about the Mechanicus, their long-lost overlords, but still they were shaking like leaves waiting for the elevator to reach the surface. Behind the mighty towering machine stood the entire army of Celestia, battle-hardened men from every village and town. Everywhere around this impressive array, the streets of Azure were packed with people from across the continent, desperate to see the metal priests of the Omnissiah that their leaders had told stories of. As the giant metal doors creaked open, out stepped a line of Skitarii from the shadows, drawing gasps from the crowd as their elation became overwhelming. The council dropped to a knee as one, the knights behind them bowing their heads in reverence, the army, militia by militia, dropping to their knees as their sergeants barked orders. As the Skitarii marched forward, a single tech priest, his mechadendrites causing villagers to faint from the sight of them, strove forward. Thus, the rediscovery of Varus III began. The Mechanicus realized that the society that had formed on Varus III, or Varus III, depending on which paragraph I read it in, worked, and instead of elevating their technology massively, they allowed simple substitutions. No longer would the brave warriors of the militias be carrying steel, swords, and spears. Instead, chain swords, shock mauls, and shields similar to those used by Arbites are the most common. More experienced members of the militias, such as commanders and sergeants, would be allowed power swords and stub pistols. Instead of bows, single-shot stub rifles increased the power of the militias to defend themselves. Genetically modified, vat-grown horses designed to carry huge loads and live for extended periods of time pulled the plows that tilled the earth. And the true word of the Omnissiah could be told to the people of Varus III. Most importantly, House Vindicta received much-needed reinforcements, supplies, and knowledge. Sacristans, trained by the Mechanicus, arrived to tend to the knights, and the council member was allowed to remain in order to learn and provide aid. The council as a whole remained leading the people of Varus III under the watchful eye of the Mechanicus. After House Vindicta was returned to strength, Theta Psi 7 fully repaired, and Varus III enjoying a new golden age, a single explorator vessel was assigned to be stationed at the planet in order to provide protection and be able to quickly respond to any threats or potential missions of knowledge in the Segmentum Pacificus. The populace of Varus III looked upwards in awe as the explorator Arc Cruiser class Omnissiah's Lance slipped into the dock of Theta Psi 7. Commanding this vessel of knowledge and war is tech priest Dominus Arax. Under him, a small legion of Skitarii, dubbed the Terminus Legion, marches to war. Arax is a very contemplative, inquisitive tech priest, unafraid to experiment with new technologies, to degrees normal within Styges 8, but heretical to others. He prefers his legion to fight from afar, landing blow after blow with squads of rangers, squadrons of dune crawlers, and thunderous cadres of castellans, followed by swift strikes by Sicarian rust stalkers and infiltrators. House Vindicta honors the will of the Omnissiah by always having one knight-errant and 2 armiger warglaves stationed aboard the Lance. In battle, they charge into the enemy ranks, ripping, tearing, melting, felling dozens as Eric's legion, Eric, I'm sorry, it's not your legion.
That's fine.
Fire fury into the foe with precise shots, compensating for the dance of death performed by the knights. To supply the Terminus Legion, the hardy fighters of Varus III constantly vie for the attention of the tech priests who accompany the Vindicta Knights into battle when destroying the Orc Raiders. After each battle, a select few who prove their bravery and absolute dedication to the Omnissiah will return to the Lance with the priests and undergo the process to become Skitarii, transcending their brothers back on the surface. They have proven their worth to fight beyond their mortal span, eternally marching for the Omnissiah. However, among the Terminus Legion, due to Arax's penchant for experimentation, all Skitarii are fitted and with modified and improved augmentation, but this causes occasional odd errors, the most common of which is a return of pre-Skitarii memories. Although these are nearly instantly wiped again by the tech priests, although strangely each Skitarii seems to develop a personality of sorts afterwards. Arax and the Terminus Legion are favored by his superiors on Styges 8 as they as their constant voyages seek knowledge yield excellent results, the most coveted of which was an STC fragment retrieved from a dead world in a daring mission that left most of the Legion decimated. On occasion, Arax sends his Legion to thin out the hordes of orcs on the islands, simply to keep their skills sharp between missions. Thus, both House Vindicta and the Terminus Legion are extremely skilled and experienced when facing orcish enemies. Currently, Varus III is still somewhat unknown. After the fall of Cadia and the opening of the greatest warp rift in history, its parent forge world of Styges VIII is once again kept occupied by enemies of the Mechanicus. However, the presence of Arax and his legion keeps the world protected from most threats and supplied. Styges VIII sends less and less ships, but the foundries aboard the Lance continue to pump out any material needed upon the surface. Arax continues to receive missions from his superiors and regularly leads the Legion and House Vindicta to war. The threats in the galaxy loom ever closer, however, and the planet prepares for the worst.
Dun dun dun. So that night house is very, very similar to mine. Like very.
Yours doesn't have ancestry?
No.
Okay. Because I knew that's what like a big thing in this one is that there were no like it's not a bloodline. Whereas normally night houses are very much tied to blood.
And the whole like, oh yeah, like it's a medieval style of technology with very few sparse populated things. But here's what I don't like about this story. I love the setting. I love all the flavor and stuff. But ultimately, there was no conflict to keep me interested. There was nothing there that was like, I just wasn't pulled in, you know?
So
the only conflict was the threats in the galaxy loom ever closer, however, and the planet prepares for the worst. And like there are orc tribes, but like they're always described as feral. There's never been a major orc wog there.
So here's something that might change that.
Sure.
Thermal cannons are pretty fucking huge, right?
Yep.
How big? Like how?
Sure.
What kind of targets are thermal cannons actually taking out?
Yeah, like ponies. No, big thing.
Massive, absolutely massive,
sure.
right? So, so it says they melt down the largest of their kind with the thermal cannon.
Of orc kind, like orcs can still have gargantuan squig-offs.
But just imagine being a village, medieval, with a sword.
Oh, I love this.
And there's a gargantuan, bigger than any house you've ever seen, rampaging in a straight line for your village. You still need knights. Yeah, I think like the setting he's creating is not.
I love the setting.
Yeah,
I fucking love it.
It's not like a constant conflict thing. It's more like a desperate race to survive. Is how I read this. Is that they're not trying to battle all the time. In fact, they desperately hope they don't have to battle because repairs on all these knights
could take years.
Exactly, is really shitty, and the knights seem to be overzealous. And when other people are like, no, like fall back, like abandon the village or whatever, these knights are willing to throw themselves into extra danger, knowing full well the terrible things that they're potentially bringing upon their house. So it's not I view it as a survival story.
Sure. Maybe I'm just looking at it the wrong way.
Maybe.
It's a fight of time versus tradition, I think. The longer the time rolls on, the more these knights can't potentially be repaired until the Mechanicus returns, but yet they have to keep that same very prideful defensive attitude they were.
Absolutely. Like I think before the Mechanicum actually showed up on their planet for the second time, they never knew the Mechanicum was going to come back.
Very interested that's all very interesting up until that point. But then as soon as the Mechanicum comes back, it's like the house is fully repaired, brought back to full strength. And at that point, it's no longer any issue.
The focus of the story has to shift at that point from the survivability of the planet itself to Arax's Terminus Legion and the exploration that they do. Now they're just spacefaring explorators. They are no longer in a fight for their survival because they've held out for so long that now they're actually able to go to space and function as part of a legion. So
it just would have been nice to see some type of even conflict. I don't know, like between
you just don't feel it, hey?
I love the setting. Like but it doesn't hold my appeal because it's just like, okay, like there's no jumping off points. There's nothing that grabs me to keep me in.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I view this as like just a very open-ended story. Like,
And
he's just ready now to take his, because obviously this guy runs like Skitarii and a allied night house.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
but I like to think that now they're just ready to go and join the rest of the universe in like the fight against anything that's the Imperium's enemy. So
yeah.
It's different. It's different.
Is a perfect fucking setting for an RPG, though.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Very true. Did either of you get worried when the Mechanicus came back that they were just going to say like, nope, don't like it?
Yeah, I was kind of looking forward to that. Or like the Mechanicus like taking advantage of them or something and like turning them into like slaves or just something. But it just seemed like there's always just like a positive outcome.
Yeah, this guy just really likes the hope.
That's fine.
Super into the hope
That's
aspect.
Fine. Yeah, like my critique is definitely like, I love the setting. It doesn't scream 40K necessarily to me.
I get it.
Yeah.
To me, no, like I get it as in like to me, like I'm into this.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, you should read my Night House.
I have read your Night House, and then I promptly decided I never wanted anything to do with it, other than incorporating it both into my Necron lore and into my Grey Knight lore.
Other than for those two.
So other than that, I want to abandon it completely.
Yeah. No, Bryce, I do really enjoy the setting, so please don't take my criticism like too much to heart, because really it's just like
that's a personal preference.
It honestly is. Yeah.
Whereas like I think like there's good building in here. I like the things you've named. The tidally locked planet is fun.
That was the one thing that the imagery created was really nice. So typically orcs, I don't know, in my mind, I always picture them just like in the forest doing forest things, like feral orcs in the forest, just chopping down trees or doing whatever the fuck they are.
Interesting.
I don't know, but it's like I can just picture that like orcs as like Vikings almost, like raiding villages on boats and like, I don't know. It's just a very different example of orcs where it's like they're island based and they're hopping islands.
Yeah,
and, like, you could see in the distance like, oh shit, here they come.
And like the drums of war that you would hear, and they would build watch posts like on the cliffs of like the ocean. And that's very cool.
Because normally, for me anyways, it's always just orcs spewing out of a forest.
Or out of caves or whatever.
Something like that. But this it's a very Viking like like I said, I love the setting of this.
Very cool, yeah.
Orcish longships or something.
Absolutely. And they maybe they grab slaves too to like put on like crew their boats and everything, and it's just a raiding culture. And how big are the ships would the ships have to be to like bring their gargantuans and their squigoths? Like what if they're just like mobile fortresses that they've built and they just constantly are in the seas and the ocean? No, very cool. Thank you, Bryce.
And how big do you think those horses are?
Right?
I mean, he mentioned those vat-grown horses were taking the place of armigers. I mean, armigers aren't wee little dudes, I don't think.
No, they're like 25 feet tall.
Okay. This is some serious horses.
Some big vat-grown boys.
They've been eating their Wheaties for sure. I like it. I like this story. It just makes me want to play an RPG in it for sure.
Yeah.
And then tell my own story.
I do like the whole they find a champion.
Yeah, the way they do that.
Every time a pilot dies, they hold like a tournament.
Yeah, the cockpit's open as like the prize.
Well, it kind of seems like the tournament also could just be a way to honor the pilot who gave his life in the same way that, you're trying to fight with enough honor for the new throne Mechanicum to accept you as a rider.
The knight is actually watching and judging
exactly.
Itself. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, and of course, and like that night for the duration of the tournament is probably not touched at all.
Yeah.
Because like they want the first touch to be like this new bond between like you and like that. I don't know. I could definitely you build some cool narrative out of that.
Yeah.
Very cool. Thanks for reading, Spenny.
Yeah, no problem.
It's long.
There were some words in there.
A couple. There's one or two.
But yeah. I'm glad I didn't get that first one with all those apostrophes because I can't whistle in the middle of sentences. So I'm glad that you picked that up.
Did you like anything particular, Spenny, about this story? Anything jump out at you?
Oh man, you're gonna throw me back in it after we had that. Yeah, as much of it was all just a blur because I was trying to guess the words correctly. I definitely think that it was a great base, and the amount of unknown on just that planet itself could lead to so many cool stories branching off from this basis. I mean, I don't know, a knight getting dropped to the bottom of the ocean. I'm not even sure if that's possible, but I'd like to see it.
Sure.
So it's got a lot of cool geography on the planet itself, and then the story of them taking that survival and putting it into the stars is neat and kind of hooks you into where's it going to go from here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think for me it would all just get fixed with just one more line. Even
what would you add?
Just at the very end, like maybe just make the threat more imminent. Like it's the threats of the galaxy loom ever closer, however, and the planet prepares for the worst. Like
the Cicatrix Maledictum, that's the threat.
Yeah, just one more line, I think, just to really like
demon scrap is starting to be heard on like the thing, that, or Levi, or the warp is growing silent as like a hive threatens them. Or the only thing is because it's so close to Styges 8, because it's only a few systems away.
Yeah,
which is like, in real terms, that's very far, but in 40K, that's very, very close.
Yeah. So that's just one
it's just
sacrifice of a navigator brain, and then you're good.
Exactly. Then you're already there. Yeah. But like Styges 8 is just such a well-made thing that any threat threatening this thing is ultimately also a threat to Styges.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah, no, it's my criticism is personal and not at all bad.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you
thank you, Bryce.
Next story we got is by David, and I'm going to read this one.
Okay.
This is a story about the Seliglair mounted infantry and the noble house of Creswick.
Is it Sealgair or Sealgair?
Seliglair.
I don't know. It's definitely not Sela.
No, because there's no A, but you know.
Shalgar?
No. Okay. Shalagar.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Where's James when we need him? You know, our resident linguist.
Oh my God. The north of the Imperium Nihilus. I hope I got that right. Yes, you did.
Yeah. Anything in his like quotation or in the parentheses is just him talking. I wouldn't worry about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Eric. What about all the underlined red words?
Underline, you're definitely going to have to just muddy through those.
So Grand Masters or Grand Misters? I'm going to start.
Don't look at me.
I'm starting to call my dad that now.
You Grand Mister.
I think it's mysteries, actually.
The Grand Mysteries.
Oh. The north of the Imperium Nihilus lies the Innis system, a small group of planets insignificant to the wider Imperium. Its only claim to fame is the Night House Creswick, led by the headstrong Callian Caddick. The Grand Master of the noble house, she is advised by Knight Commander Richard Fenwick, who acts... Is that face?
Oh, is Richard Fenwick? It seems recognizable to me. Sorry, keep reading.
Who acted as an advisor to Callan's late father, George Cadwick, and now acts as a cooler head to counterpart the Grand Master's impulsive tendencies. Together, they make a shield for the small group of planets, but they are not alone in this Sealglare. Mounted infantry, they specialize in fast, quiet, and most of all lethal combat using sentinels and chimeras. For fast attack that can quickly fade away into the scrub from whence they came, which would come as a surprise to the Gene Seal cult, which would appear on the small forge world of Innivel. It had infiltrated the forge. There's not a period in this whole thing.
Yeah, it's kind of tough.
Clearly, this is not their first language, so I can't mock it because they're still better writer than me.
Yeah.
But
it's tough to just get proper thoughts across, though, because you'd always wonder, like, where's one thought ending and the next one beginning.
Yeah. So I'll jump back to the Gene Seal called, which would appear on a small forge world of Inverell. It had infiltrated the forge world leadership. A quick response was required. So the Celglair mounted infantry quickly cleared out the cult, but something was all too familiar. From the shadow of the warp had come a small tendril of the dreaded High Fleet Leviathan. And even though it was small, soon the skies of the home planet of the House Creswick, Dreadrolls, fall from the first target for the Tyranids went black, Well, half of this is his fuck ups and half of it's mine. The swans of the Xenos.
What?
Yep. Swarms, I'm imagining.
Oh, okay. That
The
makes
swarms
sense.
of the Xenos, they decide to make this planet their last stand. For this had the best defenses in the system. And soon there were many Tyranid dead at the bottom of the fortress walls. But even though the Tyranids were losing many of the creatures, but they kept coming. But when hope seemed lost, there was hope in the shape of blood red storm raven gunships and Astartes of the Blood Angels chapter descended from the heavens, creating a handful against the anvil of the fortress, and the skies began to clear. And the victory was won by the Imperium, and I'm going to add a period there.
Perfect. It's over.
Boom.
So, okay. This is a night house
that was infiltrated by Gene Stealers and eventually fought off like a fucking Tyranid High Fleet.
Was saved by Blood Angels.
Yeah. Fought off and saved.
Okay. Well, they were saved. All hope was lost, they said.
Well, all hope in the shade of shapes.
They kept coming in, but hope seemed lost. There was hope.
Hope.
Found it again.
Hope was once again found.
Grievously misplaced, I think. But
that was Jerry's fault.
I do like how it gets represented on tabletop with the Sea Glare mounted infantry with sentinels and chimeras. It's a very cool army.
Sentinels and chimeras.
Sentinels are like ATSTs and chimeras are like transport, little tank infantry tanks.
Don't look at me like I'm an idiot, Mark.
This was for Spenny's sake.
Oh,
actually.
sorry. Yeah.
I'm just looking at it.
Sorry, he was looking at you like you were an idiot, Spenny.
That's really hurtful, Mark.
It's the haircut. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I kept touching myself this entire time.
Oh, I know. It's delightful.
Yeah.
It's really uncomfortable, actually.
So, okay, there's like an IG force as well then in this whole thing?
Yeah, it seems to be.
So
because this is a small group of planets, so
okay.
Have,
yes, it's the Innis system.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a night house. There's an Imperial Guard. Representation here. There's a Forge World.
Somebody has to keep things going.
Yeah, the Forge World of Inveril. Yeah,
and like this Seal Glare mounted infantry doesn't necessarily have to be guard. They could just be like
a PDF.
But
it's just sure. Of course. Yeah. No, I'm wrong on assuming it's guard, but it's armed as guard.
Like, for sure. Yeah.
I wonder, it sounds to me like he had a battle with Tyranids I don't know.
Main player did some campaign or something.
This is a pretty quick, it's a one-off description of one battle alongside trying to describe the entire exposition of your army in a third of a page with someone who might struggle with the English language. So it's a little tough.
Fun of that.
No, of course. It's like
I talk to people from around the world and it's crazy. I can't grasp speaking a second language.
Yeah.
So
to be able to even write this and give it to us is impressive and enough.
Exactly.
So we're just trying to put it together. But yeah, Leviathan shows
Spenny,
up.
27 things. What do you like?
27 things that I liked about this sentence was
That was good.
Okay. Thanks, Eric. I wasn't sure Mark was going to pull up on it, but I'm glad that you did. I like the contrast that the fortress walls had with everything else. That the Tyranids are quintessentially space aliens fighting these human forces that are just in this besieged castle sort of structure. It seemed very contrasting.
Yeah, and you can just see the piles of the Nid just stacking up. Oof.
Right. And then the Blood Angels kind of in the last part of the sentence there just showed up.
Glory.
very abruptly, and we're like, "Don't worry, guys, got this," and then just dropped them all.
Yeah.
Kind of be a bummer, I think, if I was part of the Sealgar
You would
mounted
have rather
infantry.
died than be saved, eh? And lost all that glory.
Die on your feet, live on your knees, sort of deal.
Wait, why are they now
absolutely.
living on their knees?
Well, because they're on the second place of the podium. I mean, you figure if the Blood Angels just got the gold, I mean, now at this point they couldn't even defend their own homes. So they're
Get out.
probably
Don't even bother.
Right. Exactly. Just ride your horse off into the ocean. I think.
Your vat-grown horse?
Well, it's they said mounted infantry, and until we got to the Sentinels and Chimeras, I didn't pick up that it was not just those gigantic horses from the last.
They just took a couple from the other planet.
Yeah.
And you only need two. You're not going to need a horse for everybody. Everybody can ride on just
right.
2 horses.
Perfect.
So, right.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, David, for sharing.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I really have nothing else to say about this one.
Yeah, well, it's nice and simple. Like
Yeah.
it's not you can't get lost in minutia in this one because he's kept it very simple.
Yeah.
Right? And he's just like, hey, like this is how they fight. This is who they fought one time. It was like their defining battle.
Yeah.
And
Like,
they
I
made
guess-
a connection with the Blood Angels.
I
through
guess this would be like a defining battle. Like anything that happens after this, after your world is about to get destroyed, like anything after that, what really matters,
Yeah, like you've gone through the crucible already. Like
Exactly.
now you
It's like TV shows when they do the apocalypse on season 1 and then they have to top it, but they never can. It's just like,
well, then they just introduce more demons and like
uh-huh.
Leviathans. Yeah.
This is supernatural.
Supernatural. Looking at you, bud.
Yeah, so I guess when you look at it like that, like this would be really all you need to know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
be the
This is
defining
their
thing. Like,
moment. Yeah.
After this, now maybe they're like Tyranid hunters or like,
Yeah, you can literally do anything you want after this point, right? Like,
so cool.
You don't think they lived happily ever after?
well, it's
I mean,
40K, so probably not.
But every other story here leaves me with like an ominous feeling. Whereas this story, I felt more comfortable because the Astartes, showed up, took care of business.
Thank God the Astartes showed up.
Right.
Spenny, read the last line there.
Yeah.
There's an ominous.
Gonna go ahead.
Yeah.
That is ominous.
Yeah. Mark, you can't just alter people's stories. That's ridiculous.
David, I won't let Mark sully this story. I will not read that aloud. I'm journalistic integrity is taking a stand. That's what I'm going to do right here.
This is the standard that Lorehammer is keeping to.
Cool. Well, Spenny, thanks for joining us. We're going to actually have Spenny on for like an actual conversation episode here.
Yeah, a Lorehammer lockdown.
Lorehammer lockdown, as it's been branded.
That's right.
But I'm still allowed to leave the room for like restroom purposes and stuff. Or is it locked down?
You have to piss your pants.
It's locked down. What about lockdown does not make sense to you, Spenny?
Apparently the lock portion, the down portion got it, but locking, don't
So
like.
if you want to hear more of Spenny,
Find his episode.
find his episode.
Or if you don't, skip it. Don't unsubscribe and then resubscribe after that episode.
Wow.
Why would you do this to yourself?
Full on unsubscribe.
Just trying to stay low profile, set low expectations, so when they all of a sudden have to listen to me not reading and mispronouncing words, they could be like, "This guy can't even form coherent thoughts either."
I mean, anyone who spends time on a Discord already knows that.
Mhm.
So don't sell yourself
is
short,
fair.
Spenny. You're a beautiful soul.
Wow, thanks. That's very touching, and coming from you with the new hairdo, it just seems a little
He was
culty,
hitting
but
on
that's
you for
fine.
sure.
Was he?
Did it work?
Oh, okay. We'll find
Are
out.
you
after
going to
the
join
episode.
me, put on like new robes, and I'll cut your hair?
Velvet, all velvet robe.
No, they're rough cotton.
If I
They're
have to lock down somehow.
Yeah.
Rough con. Okay, well,
burlap underwear too.
does burlap shrink when you wash it?
Sure, I don't.
I've never tried to.
You
wash
don't need
burlap.
to.
You don't need to. Okay, we're just going to let it sort of swill, and as I, gain more knowledge, it will.
Yeah,
darken
it just
along.
matures.
Okay. I got that uneasy feeling again. The Blood Angels fixed it for me, and now I have the uneasy
Perfect.
feeling.
That's what we wanted.
So
Cool. So with that,
Awesome.
if you guys have a listener lore, send it in to us, get a hold of us, and
Yeah.
we can direct you where to send it.
You know what?
What?
Yeah, you know what? Never mind. That's a topic for after.
Okay.
Well, I'll chat with you about it after.
Okay. Yeah, thanks again for sharing. It is really cool, like really enjoyable reading these.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anything, I enjoy it. I just like seeing like how do people interpret their own world of 40K.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is.
Because
right?
that's what it's all about, man. It doesn't matter what the main characters are doing. It's what do you like in 40K? What are you getting up to with what you've created?
And then don't include named characters.
Yeah. So, yeah, out of all the out of all these stories were good, man. Like,
I enjoyed them.
Even the last one with the image of them, like this is their defining moment in time. I like it now. So
yeah. Most of these, like you come off, it's very few where we're like, well, and any problems we do have, it's normally lorical. It's like, well, this just isn't how like these squads work. Yeah,
M37.
There's a little bit. It almost feels like gatekeeping, but the truth is, it's just like you're writing something that someone has already established as fact, and so anything that you do that's different is just like a dishonor to like what someone has already established. So, and none of us are canon writers anyway, so like we don't write canon. Anything that we do is just in our own head, and we have to work with the canon someone else wrote. It's what am I trying to say right now? Jeez, it's the hair. I don't know what's happening to me right now.
As soon as you said dishonored, I was like, okay,
the hair is taking over now.
We'll leave it with that. Everyone, the hair is taking over. Lock yourself in your house. Thanks for listening.